You wake up one morning, glance at your net worth, and it's jumped more than you expected without you even touching it. Until then, it's slow, painful, and honestly kind of boring. You save, you invest, you grind, and the numbers creep up like a turtle. But once you hit a certain critical mass, usually somewhere around $100,000, something flips. In the beginning, it feels like you're carrying all the weight. Every dollar or rupee that shows up is because you moved it there. You sacrificed dinners out, skipped vacations, and worked late hours. The market gives you returns, but they feel tiny. Compounding works on a time delay. It's like planting a tree. At first, nothing happens, but eventually it takes root and begins to grow on its own. You spend years watering it, and one day, quietly, the wealth starts growing without you. Say you're saving $10,000 a year with a return of about 7%. Initially, your total barely budges. You scrape together 50 or 60 grand, and the returns are just a few thousand on top. It doesn't feel like fireworks. Keep going. Once you cross into six figures, suddenly 7% of 100 grand is $7,000. This is the magic moment. Before that, it's all sweat equity. After that, the returns become visible, sometimes even larger than your own deposits. It's the same percentage as before, but the absolute number is bigger. 10% on 1,000 is $100. 10% on 100,000 is 10,000. This is why people say the first 100,000 is the hardest. It's not just a catchy phrase, it's the truth of compounding. Early on, the line feels flat. You're climbing a mountain with no oxygen tank. Every step is slow. Every breath is hard. Now picture Sam. Sam starts investing in his 20s. For nearly a decade, he's putting in money like clockwork. He gets frustrated. He wonders if it's even worth it. Then one day, he looks at his balance, and the returns in a single year are bigger than the money he added. His past self is finally working for him, 24 hours a day. This moment changes more than your net worth. It changes your mindset. Before, you're obsessed with how much more you need to contribute. After, you start to realize how powerful it is to just stay in the game. You don't feel like every single paycheck is a desperate race anymore. You can breathe, knowing your money is now carrying part of the load. That psychological relief is as important as the financial acceleration. But let's be real. It doesn't mean you get to just chill and watch Netflix while your money becomes a billionaire. Markets are messy. Returns aren't guaranteed. There will be years when the curve dips instead of rising. Discipline still matters. Patience still matters. The magic is a mix of your contributions, your consistency, and letting time do its work. You make contributions automatic so you don't flake out when you're tempted to spend. You increase the amount whenever your income rises, even a little. You avoid products that eat away at your returns with hidden charges. The whole point is letting it compound. Every withdrawal slows down the snowball. Think of it this way. Your job in the early years is to build a big enough snowball to roll down the hill. But once the ball is finally big enough, gravity takes over. That's the wealth explosion. The hardest part wasn't the money. It was the patience. That's why so many people quit too early. They water the plant for 2 years, don't see a tree, and assume it's dead. What they don't realize is that the roots were growing the whole time, deep underground, where no one could see them. The foundation was being built, quietly and invisibly. By the time you cross that 100,000 mark, it's not just about seeing a bigger number. It's about watching that number start to grow, even when you're standing still. You start to notice that your net worth climbs on its own. It's like you planted a machine that now hums quietly in the background. Suddenly, you stop obsessing over every tiny deposit. You begin to marvel at the scale of the returns compared to your input. What once felt like squeezing pennies now feels like steering a rocket. It's no longer just about discipline, it's about momentum. The curve bends upward, and you finally feel the difference between pushing and being pulled. At first, you push that snowball with all your strength, uphill, sweating and doubting whether it was even worth it. But once gravity takes over, you're not just moving forward, you're accelerating. And that acceleration becomes addictive. You stop asking, when will it pay off? And start asking, how do I protect this engine so it never stops? The compounding takes center stage. Wealth isn't built in one grand moment. It's built quietly, invisibly, and then suddenly, all at once. The first 100,000 is your uphill slog. After that, you're still climbing, but now you've got a tailwind. Your money starts to behave like a partner instead of a dependent. That's when wealth stops crawling and starts running. Imagine sitting on your couch on a random Tuesday, realizing your net worth went up more in 3 months than you earned in your first job all year. At first, it feels almost unfair. You used to grind for every dollar, but now your past self is hustling for you while you sleep. Think about it this way. Early on, your wealth is like a bike ride. You're pedaling with every ounce of energy just to stay upright. But once you hit a certain velocity, coasting becomes real. You can ease up on the pedals, and the bike still moves. Compounding is that hill, and the slope steepens the bigger your balance gets. At 100 grand, you're at the crest where the ride transforms. The more you let compounding work, the more it starts outpacing your own contributions. In the early years, your contributions are the headline. But once your balance grows, the returns become significant. At some point, the market adds more to your account than you could save working your 9 to 5. This isn't just a fairy tale. Real people experience this shift, like Anita, who saves a few $100s a month. Years of sacrifice prove worthwhile when Anita sees her investments earning more than her entire yearly contribution. That moment rewires her future perspective. The game feels less like punishment and more like momentum. Once you believe your money can work harder than you stop seeing savings as deprivation and start seeing it as acceleration. Every extra dollar you stash away is like another runner on your relay team. At first, you're carrying the baton alone. After the first 100,000, you're passing it to a crew that runs faster than you ever could, moving whether you're awake or asleep. Of course, there are traps. Panic selling during downturns can cut your growth in half. High fees eat away your savings like termites. The truth is, the explosion only happens if you respect the process. It's not magic, it's math. Math married to patience. If you treat your finances casually, the system slows down, sometimes so subtly you don't realize it until years later. The slope is still there. Gravity hasn't disappeared. Compounding doesn't vanish just because the market had a tantrum. When everyone panics, when headlines scream recession, your portfolio might look like a bonfire, yet the snowball is quietly at work beneath the ashes. When the market recovers, and it always does, that hidden compounding reveals itself with bigger momentum. The biggest trap of all is impatience. People want fireworks in year 2 and start tinkering with strategies when they don't see instant payoff. Changing strategies, pulling out money, each move to steer the snowball slows it down. The less you meddle, the faster it grows. The secret isn't just starting the snowball, it's getting out of its way, feeding it consistently, protecting it from predators like fees and lifestyle creep. That's how people wake up to portfolios that look surreal, not because they were lucky, but because they respected the process. The real magic of compounding is patience, discipline, and humility. It doesn't need you to push, it just needs you not to trip it. When you're broke, every month feels like a battle. Saving feels heavy, but once your wealth snowball is rolling, time shifts. The horizon shifts from survival to possibilities of the next decade. This mindset separates those who scrape by from those who achieve financial freedom. You don't have to be brilliant, lucky, or a financial wizard to cross the line. You just have to be consistent, long enough to let the math bend in your favor. 100,000 feels impossible at the start, but it's really just the toll gate you have to cross before compounding kicks in at full strength. Once you're on the other side, the view is different. You stop obsessing over every tiny contribution. Time and discipline are your biggest allies. Every painful deposit is you building the base of your snowball. Every skipped latte or weekend side hustle is another brick in the foundation. If you stay the course, there's a day coming when your money will grow faster than you ever imagined. That's when wealth stops crawling and starts exploding. And when you get there, you'll realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't magic, it was just persistence meeting math. So keep pushing, keep saving, because the explosion is waiting on the other side of that first 100,000. If this helped you see money in a new way, hit the like button, share it with someone still in their grind phase, and drop a comment with the milestone you're aiming for next.